Good evening, Redwall Survivor. Foxpen here, reporting in for another Mossflower Odyssey 4, The Beast in the Crater Top 30 application, reading and review. So right now we're going to talk about the Traveler category, and we have three applications here. We have a Wildcat, the only cat, actually, cat contender in the entire competition. We have a female Stoat, and we also have a Vizon, a female fox. So, a nice varied category. Once again, though, they're all not villains, but vermin. They're all typical vermin species. Although, wildcats, there's a species that can be considered kind of neutral. Like, you have gingerveer, but then you have, troon. Okay, here we go. So, we're going to start with the Wildcat, whose name is Jarl. Hopefully not Jarl. I'm going to say phonetically Jarl. He is a 27-year-old male Wildcat. And like a few other applications in the contest, this application was done in present tense. So, I've said this a few times, and really it's nothing really. I'm bringing it up for the sake of bringing it up. The contest should be written in past tense. Hey, but then again, if all the contestants agree that they want the contest to be written in present tense, so long as the writing is consistent, that's all that matters. I'm just, once again, this is the only Wildcat in the entire contest. So, points right there. Everybody loves a Wildcat. They're pretty rare. You don't see them too often in Survivor competitions. They're like one of the. They can be a powerhouse. They're clever, and they're also strong, and they're large. So I totally thought there'd be more Wildcats in the top 30. Maybe there were some applications that didn't make it to the top 30, but then they featured Wildcats. But anyway, here we go with Jarl.
And so, tail tucked between his legs, the great, formerly great, Trask Bloodclaw, was forced into retreat. They say that the only casualties his army suffered were those poor souls who got ran over by the brute as he fled the battle.
The room explodes with a quiet sort of laughter. By meow, most here are quite subdued with ale.
Jarl, where do you get these stories?
The tavern is, of course, vermin-friendly. It must be to accommodate Jarl, but the beasts here are of a classier type of vermin. More fur clothing, less decretive skulls. Jarl has taste, after all.
Oh, you pick up as many stories as you tell, traveling between places.
He leans against the bar, still nursing his cup of mead.
The tragic tales of Trask Bloodclaw are quite popular in this area. They've earned me more than one free meal in many a tavern from here to Mossflower.
Well, that much is obvious.
Jarl raises an eyebrow to the round of chuckling at his expense. Looking down, he examines himself and sighs. The Wildcat would be an imposing sight, if not for the amount of time he spends in taverns telling stories instead of living them.
Hey now, I'm just bulking up for winter. 3 years from now.
Jarl rubs the back of his neck and laughs, but adds quietly,
or 5.
Or 10, one weasel comments.
For all the travelling this one does, how does he keep so well fed looking?
Maybe he rolls from tavern to tavern rather than walk.
Yes, Jarl says through gritted teeth.
I think we properly established that I am fat. Maybe we can move on to something else. Perhaps another story, or
where did you get all them tattoos?
The Wildcat sighs deeply.
Or we can go back to cracking fat jokes. Sure, why not?
In the end, Jarl relents. They always ask about the tattoos eventually anyway. Starting from the top, he points to his eyes.
The dots on my face mark me as belonging to the warrior tribe of Echeldon. We are known in the northern parts for our fierceness, with axes and with pikes in battle.
The weasel arches a disbelieving eyebrow as Jarl tries to take an imposing fighting stance.
You don't believe that I'm capable of being a fearsome warrior?
Jarl asks innocently. Rolling his eyes, Jarl slouches.
Okay, fine. The tattoos on my chest mark me as a scribe. Happy now?
Jarl doesn't go into detail about the others running up his belly and back. They mostly mark his rites of passage, family, creed, banishment, boring stuff to be sure.
But I assure you, the warrior spirit of my people flows through my veins just like our famous.
A cold winter wind flows through the room as the door slams open. A dark, imposing shadow fills the entryway until Jarl realizes that he is not staring out into the night, but at one massive beast. Dark brown fur covered in heavy leather, this beast certainly dresses like proper vermin, complete with a weathered otter hat and a necklace made of badger teeth. Jarl admits he is slightly jealous. It has taken him all night to gain the attention of the beast here, yet this newcomer manages to make his presence known without a single word. But to be fair, only fools ignore a wolverine. The beast stepped forward, casting bloodshot eyes about the room, as if looking for something or someone.
I have come for the slanderous, yellow-bellied, cowardly toad who has been defaming the good name of Bloodclaw up and down Mossflower. I have come for the one they call Jarl.
Jarl instantly chokes on his mead. The coughing fit that follows seems to only draw the wolverine's attention.
Well, do you know where I can find this Jarl? Speak quickly, cat.
A moment passes as all eyes fall upon the Wildcat. Taking a deep breath, Jarl stands tall to face the beast of his stories. The Wildcat steadies his nerves, preparing himself for the fight that is sure to follow. Then he quickly points to another feline off in the corner.
He's the one. That's the beast you're looking for.
The drunken beast manages to make a soft whoa before the wolverine is upon him. In the chaos that ensues, Jarl uses the warrior spirit flowing through his veins to make a hasty retreat out the back door. Oh, wow. Oh, God, the voices, help. Help. All right. Yeah, then. Jarl, your application, was cute, very cute. Jarl is a storyteller for sure. A very, very fat cat. I love that. He's a fat cat. I don't think it's specified anywhere, but he's probably a fat orange cat. I hope so. I really hope he's an orange cat who is fat, because that would make me very happy. Oh, sorry, I just had to take a drink right there. Doing those voices actually is kind of hard after a while. Jarl, there was, while reading your application, there were a few parts I had to go over and over and over. Because this application, it's riddled with mistakes. There's typos here and there. There's awkward sentences. There's some spag, for sure, that needs to be checked here. I didn't get the sense that this was particularly rushed, though. The app does, once I read it a few times, and I figured out what was actually being written. The app, it flows pretty well. It's a very funny app. It's comedic. The Wolverine bursts in at the last minute and totally, just, do what Wolverines do. And Jarl, pointing out the other cat and just, yeah, it was funny. But Jarl, you cowardly cat, you. Yeah, you were there. You read the app. I don't need to tell you what happened. But, there's a lot of good one-liners too in the application. Jarl admits he is slightly jealous. It has taken him all night to gain the attention of the beast there, and yet this Wolverine comes in and just everybody is immediately all eyes on him. That's funny. A little bit of vanity, but in a good-natured way. Yeah, so it was a very awkward spag-infested application, though, when I was reading it. So, Jarl, if you get in, definitely definitely read things more than once, twice, 3 times. Have the other contestants look over your thing. Make time to adjust for changes and things you think of later. But pretty good dialogue, gotta say, pretty good dialogue. The storytelling's good. There's obviously stuff to know about the character, right? There's the tattoo backstory, and obviously a banishment is involved. So like he's banished from his clan. That can be interesting with what's her name, Ultra, 'cause she's in a clan, so there could be like stuff there going on. Maybe the clans know each other, or had trading agreements, or are somehow connected, however you fancy. So, and because he's a traveler, he's probably heard a lot of things. Maybe he's connected to other characters that way. So, like this, Jarl can connect to a lot of characters. He's not aggressive. He's just boisterous and a storyteller, and he just seems like kind of a fat, lazy cat, And, eventually his fat, lazy cat mouth has caught up to him, and so, he got confronted. So, but I don't know how he'd fare in the crater. Maybe he could, there is a trainer provided, so even beasts that have no fighting experience whatsoever can still, at least put up a shield. So maybe Jarl can find that, oh, hey, I'm bigger than all these other beasts, and actually this is kind of, cool. It's like I'm playing with my food when he attacks one of the numerous foals or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, this is a character of potential. I just, I gotta say once again, take your time with the spag. Review once, twice, 3 times. Don't be afraid to have 3 or 4 drafts. You're in this contest, and time matters. The more time you put into the contest, the better you'll do. So there you go. I like Jarl though. I like Jarl even though I keep enunciating those spags. I'm sorry, Jarl. Yeah, this was a fun app to read, and I'm glad that there's a Wildcat in the competition, or potentially. Okay, so we're gonna move on now to Komi Banton, and she is a 36-year-old Stoat. Okay. A big crowd filled the way station on this cold northern night because of a local horde camp nearby. As the vermin whiled away the night with drinking and gambling, Komi struggled to keep her face passive as she tapped out a rhythm on her drum. She hated the song, but a request was a request. She closed her eyes, blocking out the smug smile of the weasel who shouted the song title, then began to sing in a clear alto. The red of the stones ain't from the sun. The blood of the dead stained every one. The bell in the tower, gold in the dawn, looks down on the bones, hiding the lawn. 'Tis folly to fight those bloody walls. Bodies break against their gates, the gates of old Redwall. As always, her stomach twisted at the memory of her own sight of those red walls. The song had it right. Folly. She finished with the drum, set it aside, and pulled a flute from her pack. Tunes were easier to carry than lyrics, and the last song left her throat dry. The Stoat minstrel played on until the crowd reached a point where music no longer did any good, and Komi noted another Stoat giving her a drunken eyeful. She packed her reed flute away and picked up her pack and drum before leaving the corner where she'd been playing since before nightfall. The fox who owned the place glared as she went past him to the kitchens, but he didn't stop her. A pair of ragged field mice worked the kitchen. She sneered at both of them. This far north, it wasn't likely that they were Redwallers, but she could imagine it so. Gave her a little sense of justice seeing woodlanders so cowed. She helped herself to a bowl of the stew on the stove as the mice scurried out of her way. She slurped it down, hardly tasting it as she considered her next move. The terms had been that she would sleep upstairs, but the big crowd had quickly evicted her from her bed. She refused to sleep in the kitchen with the slaves. Maybe there was room in the woodshed? With her coat still patchy white from winter, she would keep warm enough. She left her bowl in the overflowing sink and ducked out the kitchen door. Halfway to the woodshed, a voice said, "Captain Banton?" Komi stumbled, the old name catching her off guard. "Ha! I told you!" Komi turned around to glare at the weasel who'd requested the gates of Redwall. A pair of rats flanked him. The weasel spat at Komi's footpaws. I thought you looked familiar. If it ain't Komi the coward. She bared her teeth. You've mistaken me for someone else. Damned if I did, he snarled. I was under your command during Galaran's siege at Redwall. I never forget a face. You'd do well to forget this one, she replied. The weasel spoke to the rats with him. Ever tell you about my old commander? One of Galaran's finest she was, trusted even. Then you know what she did? Right as we stood ready to take the place, she bails. Runs away in the middle of the battle, abandoning Galaran to his death. Every one of our leaders died, except her. Komi dropped her pack and lunged. The weasel wasn't expecting the blade to his stomach, which he jerked through flesh and fabric with a hard upward yank. One of the rats yelled and half drew a cutlass from his belt, but already Komi was on him. One paw snapped up, clipping him hard beneath the jaw and sending him staggering back, only to bend double as she disemboweled him. She threw herself to one side, and just in time, the second rat brought down a sword where she'd been standing. She rolled, mud squelching along her shoulder and back, then found her feet in time to duck forward under the next sword stroke. The second rat gasped as she opened him from hip to neck, then shoved him back. She straightened, breathing hard and blinking moisture from her eyes. Splattered with mud and blood now, she wiped her dagger off on the weasel's shirt, then tucked it back in her belt. She picked up her gear and strode away. If this horde had one survivor of Galaran's army, she didn't want to be anywhere within a day's journey of them. So that was Komi. Did you think I was gonna sing? I'll be honest, I actually tried to come up with a melody for that song, but I couldn't get anything that sounded good to my ear, so I just ended up reading it. I worked on it for half an hour. Half an hour, Komi, of my life went into finding a melody for your really cool poem, and I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. You deserve better. Alright, so, Komi, wow, there's a lot of detail in this application. A lot gets said. I really enjoyed the action sequence at the end, the murder scene, where she just totally goes and just it's business time with this chick. She's just, wow, how efficient she kills them. Oh wow, whew. Definitely she was a horde captain. I believe that. I don't for one second not believe that. If you told me she wasn't a horde captain, I'd be like, yeah, right, man. She's also, she's a vermin. She enjoys spitefully not liking the mice, and you kind of don't like them too, because they seem so pathetic from Komi's perspective. So great, she does really well. The whole app actually does really well. Setting up emotions. You start feeling, oh yeah, okay, so she's just another minstrel performer in a thingy doing her thing with the things, and then she starts having problems that are really relatable, where am I going to sleep tonight? I can't sleep out there, it's too crowded. The horde is taken over, and I'm not sleeping in here with the filthy slaves. I'd rather sleep in a shack outside. What do I do? And then all of a sudden it's just taken away, and you're told, oh my gosh, this is who she used to be. And then you're just, oh, okay, death, wow. And just the whole sequence, when I know I describe it really quickly and very layman, but it flows really well. It goes. She's having a relatable problem, and then all of a sudden there's something about her that's intriguing, that separates her from the rest, and there you go. There's Komi. She's so secretive, though, she might have some trouble making connections. She probably actually would have done well in the Beast with a Secret category, because her secret is she's Komi the coward. Mind you, it's not really a secret if people are alive who recognize it, I guess, and who blurt it out right in the application. Kind of gives it away. But this was thinking noises. This was a well-written app. That's pretty much what it comes down to. It was a really well-written app. I enjoyed reading it. It flowed really nicely. There was a few spelling errors, one or two, I think. But, whatever, you get over that pretty quick. What else do I really want to say about Komi? Yeah, if she can make some connections in the arena, I think this character could go far. Strong female muscelids always tend to do really well in Survivor contests. People enjoy them. We have Zevka, there's Zash, Skara from Quester's Bold 4 was a really good example. So yeah, Komi's definitely a contender. Okay, so we're gonna move on from Komi. Yeah, I don't think I have anything left to say. So yeah, we're gonna move on to Diamond. And Diamond is a 20 or so year old female fox. One of the very first rules of performance was that of unexpecting the expected, where the performer would up the ante of their act by subverting everything their audience thought would happen and, instead, doing the one thing no beast even considered possible. For example, when Globby the Stoat acrobat proposed he would leap from tightrope to tightrope, most beasts in the audience expected he would do just that. What they weren't expecting was that, instead, his football would slip and he would come tumbling down to the stage below and have to be carried away on a stretcher. Globby's wails rent the air behind the main stage curtain of Mistress Valentine's traveling players, where chaos was in full reign because of the accident. The aforementioned ferret Mistress Valentine took a peek at the main stage from behind the curtain, withdrawing with a grimace when she saw some of the crowd begin to roll their eyes and disperse. "Hell's gates!" The ferret rubbed her temple as Globby's screaming continued. "Would some beast please take this beast to a bloody healer so I can concentrate, or are we content letting him score the next act?" Horace the Sword Swallower said. "That was our finale?" Hearing their plight, a pretty-eyed vixen named Diamond set down a crate of props she was carrying and hesitantly stepped forward. "Miss Valentine, there's always my act." Valentine stared wide-eyed as Horace choked on his rapier. The weasel luckily recovered a second later, but there existed a moment where that idea could have literally killed a beast. "Diamond, sweetheart, listen," the ferret said as tenderly as she could. "Your act is, well, some beasts might just not be ready for it." The vixen was undeterred. "But I've been practicing so much. All I ever do is help pull the caravan. I know I could do more, and being on stage, it's what I've always wanted." Valentine grimaced and Diamond's ears drooped. She was sure her manager would certainly say no, but a look came over her as the ferret took another peek through the curtain. "You've got 5 minutes to grab those bloody things you call props and get changed," she said, turning to the vixen. "Really?" Diamond squealed in delight. "Oh, thank you so much! I won't let you down, I promise!" Valentine waved her off with a paw. Raising her voice, the ferret addressed the whole troop. "Right, every beast! Start setting the stage for Diamond's act. We're on in 5. 6 minutes later, Valentine strode through the curtain and gave a tremendous bow for the crowd. "Right, every beast! Apologies for our little accident earlier, but as the saying goes, the show must go on. So, it's now time for our next act. The beautiful, the bold Diamond." The curtain rose, and the vixen strode on stage with 2 other dog foxes, each holding the ends of a thin sheet of silk that covered her whole body save for her pretty face. Turning her back to the audience, she dipped below the sheet for only a moment before lightly tossing her dress over the edge where every beast could see and giving them a sly wink. The males in the crowd roared with applause, while their wives glared at them in disapproval. Then, as Diamond raised her arms, the sheet dropped. Diamond stood before them in a bright, white sequin leotard, but no beast was focused on that. Instead, every beast's eyes were fixed on the fox maiden's broad muscles that carved their way through her arms and legs as she flexed them. There was a moment of silence, and then, "Oi, bring back the pretty one! Aye, what a bloody freak!" Diamond's smile faltered in confusion, but she remained undeterred, lifting each of her heavy weights high above her head as suddenly a chorus of boos reached her ears. From backstage, Valentine looked to her in concern, but, despite the tears in her eyes, the vixen shook her head. The show had to go on. This was her time to shine. A great bald weight nearly double her own was the finale. She bent over and took the bar in both paws, her muscles tensing in preparation, and then she raised it high over her head. She held it there for 15 seconds, staring straight ahead at her audience as they continued spitting venom and insults. Then the act was done, and, with tears in her eyes, Diamond stepped forward and took a bow. Oh, Diamond, I love you. Don't be sad. That was such a great twist. I did not see it coming. I never would have thought of it in a million years. A bodybuilding fox. That is so freaking good. All the points for originality here, Diamond. All the points. And you know what? You know, to Diamond's credit, even though, you know, her feelings, her pride, and possibly dignity is extremely wounded by this horrible Philistine crowd. You know, the show must go on, and so she actually makes good. You know, hers is the final act. She has to finish it, so she keeps doing it, and she takes a bow at the end. So, like, I have, oh man, so much kudos for the character of Diamond. I really love Diamond. Just this app makes my heart go out to this character. There's a lot of stuff about Valentine that probably, you know, it's necessary to set the scene, but I would have liked to seen a little bit more of Diamond. But I do like the way she was introduced. She's hauling a crate. She says she's a cart puller. So like you're kind of set up that this vixen's stronger than the average vixen. And so when she's a weightlifter, when it turns out she's a weightlifter, it's just, oh my gosh, the reveal, it's great. So it makes up for all the lost time, I guess I'll say. The time that could have been spent developing Diamond. But you know what? She's great. She develops in app. You know, she's finding, you know, the show must go on, so she's being strong, and she said she wouldn't let Valentine down, so she's making good on her word. This character could be freaking deadly in the crater. She is a giant stronghouse fox who works hard. So like she obviously is a dedicated individual. Bodybuilding is hard, man. Like, geez, woof. And you know, for her to like lift twice her own weight, that's probably, you know, that takes training and everything. So she could easily become a fast celebrity in the crater, and maybe become evil, and maybe just like get consumed by fame and glory and admiration. This is what she's been craving her whole life, you know, working for, and now she has it in the crater. Oh my gosh, this character could do really well in the competition. Of course, then again, like, she also seems to be a sweetheart. Like, she's trying her hardest to make her mark, and also she's working for Valentine, and she seems genuinely interested in the show must go on, so she's generally interested in the well-being of the troupe and the show, at least. So, maybe she'll fight for good. This girl could be a superhero. Oh my gosh, a superhero or a supervillain. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But this app, it is one of my favorites. It's a really good one. Anyways, congratulations to the three of you in the Traveler category, Jarl, Komi, Banton, and Diamond. They're all performers. I know this has been noticed before, but I also want to point it out. They're all performers, which is great. Interesting trend. Funny how, you know, sometimes the apps work out. Yeah, so next up, I will be reviewing the final category, The Beast with a Secret. So stay tuned. We got one more review, and then hopefully Aaron and I are going to get a chance to do a little collab and talk about our final picks before the vote, which I believe is on the 7th of July. So that's a Friday. All right, well,